told you and I, as you look at our Honda starting lineup and the onboard from Troy Adams, that he's really been working on his mental attitude, and that's the next step for him to get him from that second spot on the podium to the top spot.
Hired Jeff Spencer for the mental and psychological aspect.
There's last week's winner right there, Josh Grant. Can he do it again? He gets the whole shot. Grant gets the whole shot, and Stewart goes chasing after him.
Michael Alessi's third. The reigning champion, Chad Reed, now takes third from Alessi.
Grant is out in the lead again.
Bit of a confidence booster last week. Grant is a fast starter. He can turn as fast as lap on the track as anyone.
But can he stay that way for 20 laps in front of Stewart? Boy, Jeff, if he could pull that off, that would be huge, proving that last week was no fluke.
Chad Reed, you see, he's a couple of bike lengths behind Stewart as Stewart pulls up next to Grant.
Squares it up, comes back charging into the whoops. Put James Stewart into the lead. But Grant tries to come right back at him as they go across the finish line jump.
Grant giving Stewart plenty of room there. There was no rough riding by the Yamaha teammates. Very clean racing.
And Reed just waiting back behind, trying to close up on these two.
He can't wait, Ralph. Reed has to go now. He has to lay it down. He has to make a move on Josh Grant within the next couple of laps, or it's over. James Stewart can check out.
Well, this is exactly how the beginning was to Anaheim last week. Grant was right in the middle of these two, and Reed disposed of him fairly quickly. And then Reed and Stewart got together, and Grant inherited the lead. Of course, these guys, Jeff, are going to be battling like this, hopefully all the way to Las Vegas that first weekend in May when we close out the 2009 season here on Speed.
It's so hard to think of Las Vegas because in the Supercross Championship, there's so much that happens in a 17-race series where champions are made. Okay, there's triumph and tragedy, emotions, mental games, victories, losses. It's just an incredible journey that we take year after year. This is a little over my 20th year being around Supercross. I'm telling you, so much happens between now and then that it is great to get to Vegas and take a break.
Yeah, it's a great way to close out the season. We'll see you there that first weekend in May, either in person or on Speed. And Grant is definitely going to be a player all the way to Vegas. There's no doubt about that. As Stewart is starting to pull away from these two, and Reed has not gotten around Grant yet.
Here's
Reed,
best spot. Let's see if Reed can use the advantage of turning down, getting the position. There he is. He absolutely blows by Josh Grant for second. Now the chase is on. Can Chad Reed, the reigning champion, reel in James Stewart, the fastest man on the planet?
Well, the other thing is, can Reed do something he's never done here, and that's win at Chase Field?
At the stripe, last time around, Reed was a 2-second flat behind Stewart. So we're going to keep an eye on that. Look at the lap times here, 52.6.
So you saw Reed just go through that sand section. Talked to him about that earlier today. He said, boy, I can really charge through there. You would think it's an area you'd have to take it a little bit easy. So no, you can really charge through that section if you want to.
Reed is closing up at the stripe. I think Reed's going to be closer this lap around than last lap.
We'll find out soon on board Troy Adams. You see exactly what he's looking at.
And what
he's
you're looking
at 8th place, Jeff, right now with Davey Millsaps. Millsaps is on the 18. Adams riding for the Hardin-Huntington team. Millsaps on the Red Bull Factory Honda.
Here comes Villapoto. He's closing up on the back. Adams makes a mistake. Millsaps goes by. Can Villapoto sneak by?
You saw Adams take a look over to see Millsaps off to his left. Here comes Villapoto up the inside. He's passed him as well.
And Villapoto will carry the speed around the outside. Yeah, just sweeps around. But that's a look on board of what it's like to be riding a Supercross bike in a Supercross main event in the top level of racing that there is for us.
And in the top 10, because that was 8th, 9th, and 10th right there with Millsaps holding on to 8th.
Just in front of Millsaps, Andrew Short running in 7th. Michael Alessi with a phenomenal start just in front of Short.
Top 5 is Stewart, Reed, Grant, Ivan, Tedesco having a very good run in 4th. Kevin Windham in 5th on that Geico Power Sports Honda.
Now look at Villapoto really pressuring. Whoa, little sideways. Villapoto all over the place, just muscling the bike back under him, but he is closing up on Millsaps. Millsaps is closing up on Alessi. Alessi is closing up on Short.
And we go back on board with Troy Adams. Here it is through the whoops.
Look how rutted those whoops are, and then you take it. Oh, it's Adams that's down.
Down he goes.
From inside the top 10 to 20th, dead last.
And back up front we go with James Stewart. On the number 7, San Manuel Yamaha. Here's that battle between Millsaps and Villapoto. Villapoto squares it up. The Kawasaki rider takes the position away. Now he goes after Alessi just in front of him on that Rockstar Makita Suzuki.
I'll tell you what, it is great to see Alessi kind of come out of his shell here. He is winding up this 450, riding as aggressive as he ever did on his 250F. Finally, Villapoto starting to really feel the flow.
And he is coming back from one of the most hellacious wrecks we've ever seen, Jeff, in motocross/supercross competition. Got better from that, then got injured again during practice. It has been a rough fall for Mike Alessi. He's happy to see the winner come around. He's trying to have a good run here in Phoenix. Villapoto. Oh,
he takes him down.
Down goes Villapoto.
Uh-oh.
Those two guys have had a lot of history together, too, Jeff.
They have history that goes back to when they were, before they were even teenagers, when they were riding the 85cc machines. This has happened many a times. Villapoto's got the line. Alessi just takes him up, brake checks him, hooks the front wheel. Oh, so disappointing for Villapoto. Here it is. Just Alessi looked over to his right side, gave him that little attitude look, slid the rear tire up there. Villapoto, he had to know that was coming, okay? Villapotos and the Alessis have been racing this way for years.
Well, that dropped Villapoto down to 12th. Alessi is in 8th with Millsaps just in front of him. As we go back to the leader now, it is Stewart, Reed, Grant, Tedesco, and Windham.
And I've been watching the leaderboard here. Stewart 1.5 seconds ahead of Reed.
Reed's a progressive holeshot replay.
Look from the left side there. Josh Grant on the Toyota Yamaha just comes blasting around, sweeps that left-handed first turn, takes the progressive holeshot. Great start, Josh Grant.
Stewart looking awfully good tonight, Jeff. And
well,
he needed his good run here tonight. His distance far from over. Oh, you know what?
Woo!
That whoop section has been his nemesis all day today. That Yamaha through that whoop section, Jeff, has not been as stable as James Stewart would like it to be.
We watched him many a time in practice go through those whoops as they started to get cupped out. And that Yamaha underneath him just really started to huck-a-buck back and forth.
And Reed's on him now. Reed took advantage of that and made up a lot of ground through that whoop section. And we got a race on our hands here in Phoenix. Can James Stewart win his 3rd in a row? Or will Chad Reed win his 1st ever here in Chase Field? Speed is coming right back to Phoenix for what should be a great finish. But not by much, just a tick over a second as we have crossed past the halfway point here in Phoenix. Reed closing right in on Stewart. So much is at stake. Chad Reed trying to prove that he has got the pace to run with the 2007 champion, James Stewart. Not only has he got the pace, Jeff, but he ran him down. Oh, a bit of a bobble there.
Chad loses time. Chad lost some time there coming across the start straight. James cased the triple. He makes a little mistake. Now they get into the lapped riders. 9 laps to go. We'll see which rider physically fit, mentally strong. That's what it's going to take to withstand and win this main event here in Phoenix.
Chad Reed is getting through the whoop section great, and that seems to be the one spot on the racetrack where James, it's hard to say he's struggling because he's James Stewart. He just gets through everything so good. But if there is one spot where the bike is not doing exactly what he wants it to do, it would be in that whoop section.
Yeah, but as the main event progresses, as the whoops change, because they get extremely rutted from the back tires spinning and those knobbies digging into the face of the whoops and just chunking out the dirt. You see a rider down in the sand, no problem for our leaders. But as the track changes, will James Stewart's setup on the Yamaha work to his advantage? Has he anticipated that?
Aaron, how's the track coming around?
Well, guys, the last race of the evening, the track is finally starting to deteriorate, and all the moisture has finally come up. Like we had mentioned earlier before, this is where traction is going to be absolutely vital. This is where tire selection is key. When I just spoke with Mike Goslar, I asked him if they did anything different with Chad Reed's bike. He said, no, we're just praying. We've changed tires a couple of times this afternoon. Hopefully the one that they decided upon is going to work out in the end.
Well, Stewart and Reed are both on Bridgestone, so tire brand won't be an issue. Tire choice will.
Well, and really what we're talking about is in the sections where it's good, there's traction. It's where there's no traction. That's what you have to focus on. Coming across the start straight. The sand, you got to take that out of play. There's nothing you're going to get that's going to dig through that. But the hard sections, when you come around the finish line area, around the first turn, around the start, is very slippery. And there's this real loose, granular type of film on top, so it's not very abrasive where you can really hook up.
Villapoto trying to crawl back through the field. There you see him on the number 2, gets around Millsaps.
Again.
Yeah.
Here comes Tim Ferry.
Here comes Ferry closing in as well. That'll put Villapoto up around 8th. Millsaps is 9th, Ferry 10th, now he's 9th.
Millsaps really off the pace right now.
You know, we haven't seen him tonight on camera, but he's having a great race. That would be Ivan Tedesco. It's Stewart, Reed, Grant, Tedesco in 4th, Short in 5th. Wyndham runs in 6th, and Josh Hill is in 7th, just in front of Villapoto.
Top of your screen there, that tells the story. Number 7, James Stewart, is number 1 so far here tonight.
Going for 3 in a row here at Phoenix.
This is just what Stewart's going to need to get his confidence back up. We could see last week after that crash that he and Chad Reed had, as James Stewart was walking off the track, he was furious with himself. You know, a champion like that rebounds, that he uses that to fuel himself to be victorious the next time around.
And so speaking of the championship, you know, James was credited with 19th last week. Back in 2002, Ricky Carmichael finished 20th in the first round, ended up winning the title. James is far from out of it.
Well, you have to win races to get back into it, and that's exactly what James Stewart is doing. Right now, we're taking a look at number 2, Ryan Villapoto, and Josh Hill, both riders from the Great Northwest.
Fight for 7th. Josh Hill on the 75. Ryan Villapoto on the 2. Villapoto turns inside, takes the spot away, move him to 7th.
Well, and in Josh Hill's defense, we spoke with him earlier today, and just before Anaheim, Josh had a pretty bad practice crash. He didn't tell anybody about it. He says, you know, at Anaheim, I was really groggy. He says, I'm not even sure that I should have been back on the bike. Things just weren't clear. Things are better this weekend. Solid ride. He's inside of the top 10. Now running 8 since Villapoto has got by. So he has to be happy with that. You have to make steps forward and keep getting better. And sometimes you have to stack pennies to get that dollar.
Josh was 16th, and Anaheim won. Stewart is about 1.1 seconds, according to timing and scoring, in front of Reed.
It's close. There's Stewart. He's lapping Tim Ferry. That's 9th. Ferry is, but look at Reed is closing back up. Now let's see. Ferry can get out of the way here. He knows the deal. As the laps wind down and they start to catch more lapped riders, it's always easier to be in second. It's the guy in first that hits those lappers first. We talk about it every week.
The gap is now less than a second between the two. 3 laps remaining. How much of a charge can Chad Reed build on James Stewart?
All right, this is where these boys max out the heart rates. This is where all the time, the training on the bicycles, the strength training in the gym, the mental focus and mental training, this is where it all pays off. 3 to go. The fans in Phoenix are starting to get excited. It's coming right down to it.
Working on 8th place now. They've caught Josh Hill.
This is where Reed really has excelled. Oh, Hill goes wide.
And that didn't help Stewart at all, did it? So Reed is right there, and Reed gets hung up by Hill now. Reed got hung up by Hill, and it's back to a second between the two.
See, Chad Reed has to tiptoe around that finish line turn. 2 to go.
Oh, he's on him now, though.
Chad Reed really...
He's right on him, Jeff. Here they come. Into the rhythm section. Reed made up a ton of time. And the crowd here in Phoenix starts to get up out of their seats.
How patient Chad Reed has been this whole race, but 4 bike lengths behind. He really has to apply the pressure, and it's in that second turn after the finish line, that second turn where Stewart's cutting low. Reed is really carrying some momentum around the top side.
Here's the whoop section. Let's see what happens with Stewart here. Oh, Stewart's a little sideways. Chad through there better.
Chad's drawing some great lines on the track. He really, it's a little labyrinth.
Oh, right around the way. Troy Adams. Now here's that corner you were talking about coming up, Jeff. Here they go.
1 to go. Here's Chad. This is his best spot.
How much time can he make up?
Here it is. Once again, he's on him.
Boy, he gets a great drive out of there. Just a tremendous drive.
Stewart, can he withstand the pressure? His mechanic is cheering him on. Keep it together.
Get through the sand smoothly. Don't make any mistakes. Now comes the whoop section. Will Stewart's bike survive through the whoops the way he wants it to? He takes a look. He knows Reed is there. Through another rhythm section, and the whoops await. Here they are.
This is where you let it all hang out, wide open.
Look at Reed charge through the whoops. Here they come. The finish line is waiting. And James Stewart is going to win his 3rd in a row here at Phoenix. And Chad Reed will hang on for 2nd. A great battle between these two champions. The first of what should be many through 2009.